Welcome to the Homelab show. I actually believe this is episode 123, but I put 122 in the title. Someone can correct me on that one, but we are live with Techno Tim, Jay, and Tim. We'll start with Tim. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm great. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. This is the second time I've been here, so I feel like I'm a two-time club. But it's been a while.
Yeah, for sure. I want to say right at the beginning here that at some point during this, because we had to choose some time arrangement problems, because getting three people's time schedule perfect is not easy. So when I disappear from this podcast part way, I will just say goodbye. I don't want to interrupt anyone. I have to pick my friend up from the airport. So, but we will get this kicked off. We don't have a sponsor read. That is a something we're working on. Thank you. We mentioned this before that we didn't have a sponsor, and sponsors have reached out. We are just working out the details and the deals, but they're not worked out yet. So if you are a sponsor and listening to this,
there's still time.
Yeah, there's still time to contact us. That we're not good at the whole business side of this, but we are definitely here to have fun, here to talk about Homelab. I wish I would have had the foresight to order one of Techno Tim's cool new shirts. That has been a discussion amongst us. Is he's got these cool dark mode shirts. I know if you're listening to this podcast, just go check out the links in the description. You'll find Techno Tim's site. You can find his swag store, and I just really like that shirt.
Thank you. Yeah,
really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was surprised to see a few people pick it up and wear it on YouTube videos. It's been awesome.
Wow, that's incredible. So is that a meme from one of your videos where you kind of like just talked about dark mode, or is it appreciation of dark mode in general, or just
both? I mean, usually in all my tutorials, the first step in all my tutorials is enable dark mode if it has dark mode. So anything we're doing is like, you got to turn on dark mode. So yeah, so that was naturally when I was thinking about things to put on a shirt. I thought, well, what are the things I like? And dark mode was definitely top of the list. So my wife and I put this together and then got some shirts made. So yeah, I mean, who uses light mode anyway?
I hope no one.
It just reminds me of the Windows XP days. Everything had this white color around the blue and the green, and we've come a long way.
Yeah,
someone says retina saving mode in the comments. We'll go with that.
Right. I get it though. Like for me, it's like if I look at white screens like all day, my eyes get so tired. And I know some people are the opposite though. I don't mean to poke fun at light mode, but some people are the opposite. When they see dark mode, they just don't get it, and they're like, my eyes are so tired. I'm like, imagine that, but the opposite for me. So I totally get it. Everyone's different, but when I turn on dark mode, I just feel like sigh of relief,
I want to bring up right away on your recent studio tour. So I really like the aesthetic that you have, because I think everyone goes with either we all have a mess, or we, cobbled it together, or we, go all dark. And that's probably the more common, but you've actually gone a little bit different. I think you have this really cool aesthetic with all the light. For people watching this live, there is a white toolbox, and I love the fact that you're using a toolbox as well.
Yeah,
those are actually so good to store things in.
yeah. That's a Husky toolbox from Home Depot. It's actually really awesome. So I was looking for like a steel cart or something like that. Like I wanted something where I could work on stuff and put stuff on there. I have 3 servers on there now. And the more I looked at things, I was like thinking, like, these are all super expensive. Like, why don't I just look at a tool cart? And I found that one at Home Depot, and I love white. I love the whole like natural wood and white look. So I got that, and it has drawers and everything. Like, I love it. I couldn't have asked for a better cart. And it has a built-in surge protector on the side too, so you can just plug stuff right in. Like, I got 3 servers and a switch plugged in back there. It's pretty awesome. But
I think that's one of the things that should be brought up more often, maybe on this. It's a topic we haven't covered a lot. Is you can build the Homelab, and we all talk about different racks and things like that. Those are important aspects. We jump into the software. That's an important aspect. But you do a lot of some of that board tinkering stuff, and you need a place to do that. You're like, if I want to build out my little Raspberry Pis and things like that, I need a place. I need the tools to be handy. Or you want to take something apart. That's as much an important aspect of the Homelab is making sure that you have a lab by which to build things on. You know, that's the reason I gave my tour, and I used a bunch of IKEA, the butcher block style countertops and things like that. I like the wood look as well.
Yeah.
And it's you know, it's important. What are the tools you use? What are the little things on the desk and stuff like that? Those are always, that's really a whole topic we could cover at some point in time. The physical layer.
What's on your desk? I guess.
What's on your desk?
Surprised how many people probably love that.
Yeah. It's been amazing though, having all those drawers, because when I'd work on stuff, like if I didn't have it like somewhere else in a different drawer, I'd have to run to the basement, go into storage, go grab it and bring it back up. And so I had to do that so many times. I got my steps in for the day. But at the same time, it was like, it was so distracting to have to stop everything I'm doing, go get a screwdriver, go get, you know, some part or some piece, just to come back up and start all over again. So yeah, that thing's been awesome. It's, yeah, couldn't have asked for a better thing. It is heavy though. And, my neighbor and I moved it. I'm upstairs. This is an upstairs room. We moved it upstairs. Almost didn't make it.
That also makes you an outlier. Me and Jay are in the basement of
we
built our studios in our basement. You like, I'm going up.
I wish I could be in the basement, but I really can't. But yeah. And we didn't take the drawers out either. The thing weighs a good 350 pounds, something like that. Next time I'll take the drawers out.
Maybe you should do that next time. Hopefully it won't, not too soon. I'm sure you're not looking forward to moving it again. So.
That's right.
On to some Homelab topics.
Yeah.
You've covered one of the things I thought was really good is you've covered some of the automation and integration with the camera stuff. This comes up a lot. Some of the object recognition. What are some good tips on that? To kind of reference some of the videos you've done on it. I'm trying to remember the name. That it's on the tip of my tongue. I forgot to write it down. The one that does the object recognition of figuring out what's in the camera that you feed to your cameras.
Just object detection. I don't know. There's a couple of libraries for them. I'm totally slipping my mind too.
The one you did the video on, and I'm just like, it's on the tip of my tongue.
It is for me too, because it's been so long. I know what the thumbnail looks like. Does that count?
Yeah, that's how we remember things.
Yeah, it's
amazing how that works.
I know exactly what the thumbnail is, and there was two thumbnails. The one is yellow and green with me and a 3090. But no, it's there's a couple of libraries you could use. Dark, I forget what it is. Dark something. I can't remember.
Frigate. Someone has it in the comments.
Oh, so Frigate too. Yeah. Thank you. So Frigate, yeah, if we're talking about like objects, I thought you were talking about ML and stuff I did.
Not the ML part of it,
okay.
the automation of Frigate. That was a good video you did on that.
Oh, I didn't do one on Frigate. No.
Frigate?
No. Not yet. No. I haven't done one on Frigate.
You did one where you were showing how you could do the object and it would switch your TV to tell you what was in there. What was the tool you used for that? I'm trying to remember.
So that was dark. This is what we're talking about. So this was the ML stuff, the machine learning.
Okay.
But anyways, it was a library that is, I don't know, in Python. It runs in CUDA, runs on NVIDIA, and can do object detection live in real time. And it was pretty cool. It was like, I was picking up things. It would recognize, pencil and cell phone. And it thought that this was a cell phone, my little RGB.
Well, I mean, fair enough. I mean, at a glance.
I was,
the little remotes do look like cell phones.
That's right. And it was like detecting plants in the background. It was saying potted plants. So it's really cool. Deep stack. I think it is deep stack. Yeah. Deep stack.
Yeah.
But it's, pretty cool stuff. It's funny you mentioned this because I've been wanting to get into some more like AI stuff, self-hosted AI stuff at home. And I think pretty soon I'm going to build a box dedicated to AI and ML, basically beef it up to do only that, because I want to run some of my video that I have here through more object detection too. And I'm not saying just, turn on Frigate, but I want to do some custom stuff with some custom models. So yeah, there's so much to do when it comes to AI at home. It's kind of overwhelming. I was looking at some videos last night and some channels, and I was like, it's just so overwhelming to get started.
It is. There's so many different things to play with on that. But I'm going to leave you here to Jay because my friend just landed, and it takes me 15 to 20 minutes to get to the airport. So that should be about the time he onboards. So I will leave it to you guys. Have a great night, everyone, and take care.
Hey, Tom.
Next one. All right. So where were we? We were talking about AI.
Yeah. So it's kind of overwhelming, like thinking about all just getting into it, self-hosted stuff like Olama, and then getting from there going into different models and stuff like that. It's like, man, it's a deep dark rabbit hole, but I think I might start going down it. We'll see, But I need to build a box dedicated to it because, like everything, all my machines like have responsibilities, so I need yet another machine, and I want to dedicate it too. I don't want to like tack on like this very super intensive workload onto something that's running other things. So
So if that's something we might see on your channel, then what's your current rabbit hole as of today? What's the most recent rabbit hole you've gone down and dived
oh
into?
well, it's not really it's kind of a topic, but this whole so I have 3 servers back here.
Mhm.
I'm actually going down this kind of rabbit hole of co-locating my servers in a data center here in
Oh,
Minneapolis. And that is a deep dark hole too, because you think, and just get some servers, plug them in. No, it's get some servers, figure out what you're going to do for switch, for power, for network, and then it's
mhm.
label everything, and then it's document everything. Like I have every serial number for every hard drive, and I know exactly which bay it's in, like in a spreadsheet. I'm like, oh man, I didn't know I signed up for all this, but that's kind of what I have to do if I want to make servicing this thing long term pretty easy. So
Wow.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's always a lot.
so coming up soon. Yeah, I think I might be racking this. You guys will see the video soon. For me, it'll be most likely Friday morning. Is going to a data center and racking this, and then this is going to be another rabbit hole of just basically building a private cloud. A cloud that's available to me somewhere else.
I would
Even though
love
I
to
have one at home
see
already, but
I would love to see some stats around enterprise networks, how organized they are, how, clean everything is. Homelabers network, how organized it is, how clean it is. Because I'm going to make a statement that I have no idea is true. And maybe you could tell me if you think it's true. I have no idea if it's true. The average Homelabers network is 10 times more documented and even and consolidated and consistent than the average business network. I have no idea if that's true. I just made that up, but
no,
you have to think about it because everyone I talk to, including you, it's like you take pride in setting up everything, labeling and documenting, just like you were saying. So it's interesting to me how you start a job and you're lucky to have that kind of a data center at your new gig. It's crazy.
yeah. It's tough though. Once I don't scale beyond one, and I know how I work. And when you start working with larger teams, and everyone's contributing to stuff, it gets tough
Oh
to
yeah.
kind of keep that all together. But I don't know. I don't know what it's like. I remember what it's like in my tech support days to configure network switches and stuff like that, and have the network closets being a mess. Switches, ports on the wrong VLAN, crossover cables plugged in that shouldn't be plugged in. Cat 3 that was still there when who knows what that even does. So I remember that stuff, and that was a long time ago. I'm sure that stuff still goes on now.
Well, I think old habits die hard, and
Yeah.
it's interesting how you're always going to have these stories. Like I walk into one data center when I'm working for a company, and I've never been there before, and I go in there, and there's wires everywhere. There's a networking for dummies book on the floor when I first walk in, and then there's a UPS on a table chair that somebody put behind the server because the power cord wasn't long enough for them to get it down to the floor. So they had to put a chair underneath it so it doesn't, and then you go into a home lab and then you have cable management. You have, everyone knows what everything's plugged into. It's just incredible the difference. But
Yeah. Yeah. Usually, yeah. I don't know. Enterprise is like usually you walk into someone else's mess, and it's tough. It's tough. But my home lab has been crazy at times too. I think as I've scaled it, I've tried to organize it, and I put a ton of time into it. Like I put way too much time into mine, you know,
Oh
whereas
yeah.
as at work, it's, you know, it's kind of your job, and not saying you don't want to, you know, put in extra hours, but at the same time, you know, you got a life to live, like building your own home lab at home. So yeah, it's tough. Like I put a ton of time, and I learned the hard way so many times. You know, I didn't label stuff. I didn't manage
Mhm.
cables. You know, I didn't do anything. I thought, yeah, I'll plug this into here. I'll remember what it's for. 2 weeks later, what the heck? Who did this? You know, and it was me. So you know, I've learned a lot of hard lessons to where now, yeah, I absolutely do label switch ports. I do label everything with painter's tape. I don't use a label maker for everything. And you know, I try to keep my cables tidy. That's one thing that now from now on, my cables are always tidy.
I try to do the same, but with it's always tough when you have a home lab and a studio for recording at the same time because it's like a double whammy.
Yeah.
Because you could have your cabling for your networking. You don't want have too many cables around your audio cables for, fear of interference and
Yeah.
all these different things. But um, it's just incredible the amount of detail. But sometimes I wonder if anyone else is like this. Like earlier in my career, I felt like my home lab was kind of my, revenge network. So what I mean is I'm at work, and maybe I say, "Hey, we should go this direction," and I pitch it, "This is what we should do. This is the design," and then they don't wanna go that direction, they go a different direction. Maybe I don't agree with that direction, but maybe at the time I didn't have the seniority. So at home, I'm like, "I'm gonna do it my way, and I'm gonna do it the way that it should have been done there, and I have all the control here. It's my house. I can just set up whatever network I want to, and this is going to be amazing. Sucks they didn't go my direction, but my network is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. No,
you know
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. I think that's, you know, that's the nice thing about having home labs. You can, you know, kind of do what you want. And, you know,
Mhm.
there are things that, you know, I borrow from work, like ideas or practices or patterns that I borrow from work and apply at home. And then vice versa. There are things, you know, that I learned at home that I then apply at work. So it's pretty awesome. Goes, you know, goes both ways.
So what's in your stack nowadays? What's behind the scenes? Anything from your container solution to whatever you have going on? I think it might be, if you don't mind, cool to talk about what you're running. I think that'd be fun.
Man, how much time you got? I know.
Well, we can have a summary or maybe even just
No, I'm
you
teasing.
know
Yeah.
videos that you've done, I'm sure.
No, I'm teasing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so from a high level, I have you know, a server rack in my basement. I have an HL15 and some other servers in there. I've now downscaled to some Intel NUCs, so some
Hmm.
mini, you know, small form factor devices that replace those three servers back there. Those are running Proxmox. So I have a Proxmox
Mm.
cluster across all three. And then within that Proxmox cluster, I'm running 3 Kubernetes clusters. And those one Kubernetes cluster is public, one Kubernetes cluster is for internal for home, and another one's a management one, actually running Rancher.
Ooh.
And then, yeah, I mean, and then on top of that, then I have, I don't know, 50, 60 probably workloads running inside of there. Everything from, I don't know, everything from monitoring to custom code that I wrote that runs. My own website, technotim.live, is actually running it on an Intel NUC cluster in Kubernetes here in my home. So, and that's part of why I'm you know, I'm doing this colo thing is because I'm not using the servers now at home and I kind of feel bad, but two is to just kind of move my public things, my public workloads, you know, to you know, somewhere else, I guess. And if this
Mm.
falls through, I'll just get another ISP and then do it here at home again. So I just kind of, you know, I do so much and my website gets a lot of traffic, and, you know, I kind of, I get worried sometimes, you know, that like, hey, did I do all the right things? Am I firewalling everything I should be? You know, it gets complicated really quick when you have, you know, 5 VLANs, public workloads, Kubernetes, you know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, absolutely. Like when you think you've set your firewall rules right, but you're not sure. So you wipe the Wi-Fi settings from your phone and then connect to the SSID that's on that VLAN, and then you try to go to the thing that you don't think you should be able to go to, and then you are able to go to that. And you're
Yeah.
like, how did I? And then it's always fun navigating that, and it's the VLAN separation being. Would you say that's one of the bigger hurdles that people run into when it comes to getting from like a more beginner level to more of an advanced level as they learn Homelab?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's definitely an advanced concept. Just VLANing in general. Chris from Crosstalk Solutions has a great videos on intro to VLAN. I watched I don't know 15 minutes of it last night, where he was explaining tagged, untagged, and trunk ports. I happened to be skimming through it, and I listened to that whole thing because sometimes I get confused on tagged and untagged, and your default network on untagged ones. But anyways, yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
VLANs are hard to kind of wrap your head around. They were hard for me for a long time. I always kind of knew what they were. I always kind of understood what they did, but really, it's just segmenting your network
Right.
virtually, on each port or within a network. And so yeah, it is. I have a lot of people who I've talked to who just have a flat network for home. Their first step is always like, well, I want to separate all my IoT devices, and I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great
Oh
idea
yeah.
to do. Yeah, and I
Oh
think
yeah.
that's the first VLAN you should create outside of the one that you're on is the IoT VLAN. You should throw everything over there, and then once you do that, I mean, you're better than 99% of the people at home right now. So,
Yeah, I
but
would. Yeah, absolutely. And nobody VLANs unless they know what that means. You
yeah,
know,
it's true. It's
I
true.
mean, pretty much if they know what it means and they're not doing it at home, they're doing it at work. Otherwise, how would they even bother to learn it in the first place? But that subnetting and I think containerization seem to be some of the bigger hurdles I see people run into. But I feel like it's sometimes the instruction. Some people, learn by video, they learn by reading and different materials out there. But I know those kinds of things seem to come up a lot in the space as problem topics because it's hard to navigate. Like this connects to that, except if it's tagged as this, and if it's going through this route, then it skips this. It's local traffic if it's here. It's not local traffic if it's there. And then you
Yeah.
start to really get an idea of how this stuff connects together when you do it at home versus reading the theory behind it. I would say too.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I have lots of respect for, network administrators, network engineers, because I'm only like level 1.1 network person. Everything I learned I taught myself, and mostly YouTube. I did some networking way
Mm.
back in the day, some Cisco stuff. But nothing like I didn't even create VLANs. All I did was change switch ports to existing VLANs. So doing it all at home and kind of learning it myself was a big hurdle to take on. But I think it's worth it. I think I kind of went overboard. I created 5 VLANs and I got way too specific. But hopefully after I move some of that to a colo, then I can kind of get rid of 2 or 3 of the VLANs that I have that are really, it's hard to distinguish between the two, but it's,
It's funny when I hear someone say, I'm just level one networking, and I'm thinking, yeah, in about 10 years, when you know 10 times as much, and I ask you the same question, the answer is going to be, well, I'm a level one networking, because nobody ever that I've known ever feels like they might be really amazing, but there's always something you don't know. So it just kind of feels like this monumental thing to learn, which can keep it interesting. But it's funny when someone says, "Well, I'm just starting out." Yeah, you might feel that way when everyone else feels like you're advanced. It's just kind of a
yeah.
weird internal measurement kind of thing I've noticed. It's
Yeah.
tough sometimes, but when you get it, when you make that thing work, man, that feeling is just amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I remember the first time I ever networked devices. It was my brother in his room with his Windows 98 PC, and me
Mhm.
in my room with Windows 98 PC. And I got a hub, and we had no idea what we were doing, but we wanted to play NBA Live. I think 98 or something like that, the PC game. Basically sitting in our own rooms, but playing, basically a LAN game. No idea what I was doing, following, these printed instructions on how to assign a static IP because, once I started messing with networking, I didn't have internet anymore. I had no idea what it was doing. And I remember finally when I saw the network working, and I saw it was a hub back then too, not even a switch. When I saw the
Right.
lights flashing and like we could join a LAN game together, I almost cried because I was like so happy that like I figured this thing out.
It is an amazing feeling too. And gaming, I feel like is a big driver for a lot of people. I mean, for some people it's Plex, could be gaming, could be learning for certification. But I think when I first started, Unreal Tournament was a big driver in this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I was running that. A lot of people were running that. I think that was my first LAN was to play that, if I'm not mistaken. Is that either that or to try to share an application over the network? Because what else was I doing at 19?
Yeah, yeah. There's always something that takes you down that path. But yeah, and it's different for everyone.
Mhm.
I remember even like I when I went to college, the first year, they well went to college. The PC that I got a PC and it didn't have 100 meg NIC in it. And I had no idea what it was doing. Like
Mm.
I was like, I'm never going to figure this out. Like I have to put this network card in. I'm not going to get on the school's network. Like what the heck do I do? And so my RA at the time came in, Rodney. He opened it up and he just popped this card in and screwed it in. And I saw that he was done. I was like, that was like the most easiest thing ever. Like I didn't even want to open up a PC at the time because I had no idea what it looked like inside. I thought it was going to be so complicated.
Oh
Once I
yeah.
saw him do that, it was all over. It was all over. I was buying Voodoo graphics cards and, and going all crazy, upgrading, putting in 4 hard drives in, CD burners, DVD ROMs. Yeah, it was great. But it took
Let me guess. At one point, you probably put the paging file on another hard
Oh
drive, just
yeah. Oh
with
yeah.
some more frames in your
Oh yeah.
games.
Oh yeah. I had Raptor 10K drives. I had Raptor drives. Yeah. Do you remember the Raptor 10K drives? Yeah.
I do. Yeah, that was an incredible time. I think around that time, let's see, back then, I thought 80 gigabytes was massive for a hard drive. Like, who even needs 80 gigabytes? That's
Yeah.
incredible. I'll never fill that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's,
Oh man, that's just wild. So I think for me, I remember Wizardry 8 being one of my games. I was trying to get as much performance out of. Not almost nobody's heard of that game because it was, the company went out of business right after they made it. But, you know, what other things drive your interest in Homelab? What are some other things that just really get you like fired up and ready to go?
Oh, yeah, good question.
Right. Or you could even answer, what is it today that's doing it? 'Cause
Yeah,
it could be different from one day to the next.
yeah. I mean, today it's it's a lot of networking. I feel like my home lab is matured, and
Mm,
I'm kind of like looking for the next thing now. It's so mature. Like, I'm running three Kubernetes clusters. They're all GitOps, all automated. Like I have CI and CD deployments running and deploying everything automatically.
mm.
I get pull requests from a bot that I approve, and then that kicks off a whole entire automation to update my server. So it's like mine's pretty mature. So I am kind of looking for that next thing. But in general, like I like anything that like is it's hard to describe, but for me, like I get a lot of joy when people use the thing that I built. I've been this way
Oh yeah.
forever, and so like I love that people use my documentation site. I get thousands and thousands of people using it. I love it. I love it, and that's half the reason why I create more documentation is so more people can use it. Like I love when people use the stuff that I build. I've built an Ansible K3S playbook. Lots of people use it. Thousands of people use it. And it's awesome. Like, I love it when people use my stuff. If that ever stops, I'll be pretty bored. um, but,
Yeah.
um, but like even like I want to host game servers. Like I would host like 10 game servers and not even play the game, but host them for other people. And I would love that, but I haven't found haven't found enough people to play those games yet. So
Well, your
um,
YouTube audience would probably want to play some games if you got them on there, I would imagine, right?
yeah, for sure. And I love hosting things, and then on top of that, I love it when people use it. And so those
Mhm.
two things together, for me, uh, it kind of like sparks something in my brain that says, oh, this is awesome. And so, yeah, I just want to keep building more public stuff that people use. But here in my home lab, like I talked about a little bit earlier, I'm going to be building, an AI box, a dedicated AI box. That's all it's going to do.
Hmm.
GPU, the whole nine. So, and see
Oh,
where that takes me, because
that's gonna take you to another rabbit hole, and another rabbit hole, and then more hardware,
yeah,
probably a bigger power bill.
yeah. I mean, who knows? But not something I'll probably have running all the time. I just, I want to tinker with the stuff. I want to, become more familiar with it. There's some cool things I want to do too. Like I want to run, text and stuff through, through like a GPT or something, like an Olam or a text, and ask it questions like a self-hosted chat GPT type thing. But then other simple things like I use Whisper to generate a lot of my my YouTube subtitles, and it's an easy way for me to just like generate them real quick, and it's all local, so I do it local on my
Well,
machine.
that's interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's way more accurate than YouTube's transcription. And so I use Whisper on my Mac. It's all local, and it transcribes it for me. And then I get good subtitles with timings. But what if I just want to what if I want to batch and code and like do my whole entire back catalog and generate subtitles for all that, like really good subtitles, like accurate ones. And then what if I, and then feed those all to Google. And then what if I want to translate all of those? So those are some of the things that, where I could do it on this machine, or I could do it, one off. I want to do it like at scale. And so, yeah, I kind of want to have a dedicated box. So sounds, yeah, it sounds fun. I'm already seeing the rabbit hole.
Yeah, but I mean, and all this stuff might seem difficult to some of the people starting out, but everything always does, and until you get to a point where you're like, well, that's all it was. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes it looks like voodoo, but it's this, it's actually simpler than people make it out to be. So AI just sounds like this incredible calculus type level of difficulty, which I'm not saying it's easy. The people that program this stuff, I mean, they have the lion's share of the work here, but to install it and to set it up, I mean, it's just something somebody could do in their house. When, I was young, you were lucky to see a computer in someone's house. That's a
Yeah.
big difference.
Yeah. No, yeah. I agree. And that's kind of what I mean, I want to make some content around it too. I want to make it approachable. I want to make it, my goal always when I create tutorial based content is repeatable and approachable. And so hopefully I can do that with some AI stuff too, because it'll be interesting for me to learn and then teach that stuff, and then try to make it a little more approachable. Right now it's kind of, well, where would I use this? How would I use this? What do I even need? And not really being able to like see, personal use cases for it. But hopefully, after I take this journey, hopefully I'll see some of those and teach those too. So
Well, I mean, you're providing a service. I think you probably know this, but many content creators don't. We have this, like not everyone learns the same way. Some people just can't learn from a video no matter how hard they try. I even heard someone say something like, I don't want to pause a video and go back, or they might read something, but someone who doesn't retain by reading loves a video. But then when you have the two together, you have documentation. So the whole LAMP community, we're increasing documentation. When you create a YouTube video, you're creating documentation. You have a blog article, a video, so you have written, visual, and meanwhile, we have all these companies that are using AI to make these, barely passable how-to articles. When you look into how to install a package via apt, and then the article is like, what is the apt package manager? The history of the apt package manager, who
yeah,
invented it, who's using it, how many people are using it. You go through like 5 to 10 different pages. On the very bottom, it just says apt install package name.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you know what I'm talking about, right? And
Oh
then
yeah. And
you have,
humans even do that too, because of SEO,
right.
it's like people trying to game SEO. I mean, it's all Google's fault for that, is because like, because that gets indexed and then people read it, and then and if the content's too short, Google basically tosses it out. So if you published, hey, to install this is app.get blah, blah, blah. And your blog article is, 5 lines long. It'll never get recommended.
Yeah, and
Because
then you have like,
Google, it's all
yeah,
Google's fault.
I blame them too. But then with content like yours, it's like we can avoid all that. We can
Yeah.
go right to someone who's, here's what it looks like, and they're going to get right down to what's going on with that. And you could just cut straight to someone who, it's not a AI written article. And sure, it's fine if they're accurate, but I think there's something to be said about having a person that represents the integrity of the content, and then does the work to learn how to do it with probably no documentation.
Yeah.
Create the documentation that then other people will use. And then to level up even more, I almost feel like we become the alpha testers for enterprise software.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's like, oh, go
Yeah, I
ahead,
feel
sorry.
that. No, I was going to say, I know what you mean, because like, in general, enterprises, are hesitant to try new things, or maybe that's a bad approach. They're just, they're more cautious, when it comes
Right.
to like open source or to trying new things, or they have architecture in place that like, trying something like Proxmox just doesn't fit in. But I love doing that kind of stuff at home. And I think that's why a lot of people have a home lab too, right? Yeah. Hey, we
Oh
have
yeah.
VMware at work, but you know what? At home, I don't want to run VMware. I want to run something else. I want to run Proxmox or,
Yep.
XCP&G or something else. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Sometimes, like, some companies just, they really don't want you touching their servers, even if that's your job, right? They're hesitant. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. You should be, protective over who uses your servers, but I've had people that I've known that really want to just learn something, and they're just denied because they don't have approval to work on the project, so they can just come home and install it at their whim and then do it anyway. Whereas before, it's like we were beholden to what the company would allow us to learn, and now, we're using your website on an Intel NUC.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big difference there too. So, do you think we'll ever get to a point where it's like, yeah, let's see what the home lab community thinks of it. Like an enterprise says this. Let's see what the home lab community thinks of this product before we use it for our enterprise. Because any little tiny detail that is off, or a CPU that's just one generation too old, they're gonna, totally go on there and belabor the point. And I think it's just incredible, the detail that, obviously you go to in these videos when you review something like your HL15, for example. That was incredible detail in the video.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, it was, that was, kind of big, taking that
Mhm.
on. And I never really did a hardware review before that. Like I didn't know, I still question like how deep do I go on some of this stuff,
Oh yeah.
but I went pretty deep on the HL15, one, because I think it's a great system. And two, because like, I felt like, there was a lot of things to uncover in that thing. And so, yeah, it spans the gamut. When you have a whole entire system like that, how do you even review it? It's like, there's so many pieces, from compute to the storage
Right.
to the networking to everything. Even, the design of the case, it's just like kind of overwhelming. So I just took my time with that one, but
You're
yeah,
doing it right. I mean, I'm hearing all the same things I go through. It's just, a lot of people don't realize how much work it is. I mean, I think they kind of do, because, and I'm not just talking about the research work that goes into it, but after you learn it and you do a video review, it's like you have all these different phases you go through. Like, I'll literally have a B-roll day where I just, like, the entirety of the day, I'm just lining up everything I'm going to be covering, just filming it, and then I go into the review. But it's just massive. Like, is it the
yeah.
same for you?
It is. It is. Yeah. I mean, I mean, no one taught me how to do like my YouTube process, even for my tutorials or anything. I just like kind of made it up myself. It's probably not efficient, but I've gotten pretty efficient at my inefficient process. I feel like, to where I can edit videos really fast. But for me, it's the recording piece, and sometimes even just turning the camera on and starting the recording. That's hard for me sometimes, because because I mean, you have to be in the right mood. Like, I mean, if I'm not feeling my best, like I'm just like, should I record a video today? I did record one today though, but yesterday
Mhm.
I was going to do it last night. And I thought all day, yeah, I'm going to do it. Yep. 7 o'clock. I'm going to start. No problem. Got around to 7 o'clock, and it wasn't like I was procrastinating. It wasn't like, oh, I can do it tomorrow. But I was just like, I'm not bringing my best self. Like I don't want to, like, I don't know, bring anything less than my best self. So anyways, for me, it's really hard sometimes to even hit record. Yeah, I could have my
Yeah.
script, I could have everything lined up, I could have everything tested, like I have, for this last video. But sometimes it's so hard for me to hit record because I overanalyze stuff, and yeah, and I just think like, am I in a good mood right now? like a good
Yeah.
mood enough to record, you know what I mean? Because people see it
Yeah.
if you're not, having a good day. So, but yeah,
And there's some, and I'm sure it's already the case, but you learn these weird tricks that just sometimes work. Like I could have a headache or something. I'm not feeling well. You could probably see it on my face. So I really don't want to be in front of the camera. I really don't want people to see me like this. But maybe I have a opinion like, well, my voice is fine. I might not look okay, or I might have just got over a cold and I'm still pale or
yeah,
something. So I'll just decide to record all the on-camera moments later, and then all the parts where I'm off camera, I'll just bang those out. Nobody has to look at me because
yeah,
and then, oh, I got a salon appointment or a haircut, right? So I just do all the on-camera ones. I just got my haircut, so I have like
yeah,
2 weeks of on-camera moments, and then meanwhile, everyone's like, "Why don't you ever change your shirt?"
yeah, yeah,
Like, they don't realize they see me like, after I go to the, salon or something, and then I come back and then I'm off camera and they think it's the same session. I'm just in my pajamas with like hot chocolate or something, just talking into a microphone like I had a tote like in front, like here in front of the camera with like all kinds of like pads and things because I didn't have what I needed. So I'm going to do all the off-camera moments. You couldn't see me anyway, then take all that stuff off my desk. Then I address the camera. It's unbelievable. I should do like a video just about all the stuff that nobody sees.
yeah. It's incredible. And like the smaller your spaces, the harder it is because like you keep having to shuffle stuff around. I mean, your office looks about the same size as mine, and like I can't do two projects at once because I don't have enough place, stuff for it. And then on top of that, like, hey, I like to tinker outside of the videos I make too. So
Right.
yeah, and like, I the things on my desk need to stay there until I'm done with the project, or I got to tear it all down and put something else up there. So oh, I wish I had space like Jeff Geerling. He got a new office space and has he's got a lot of space now. Um,
Yeah, you'll get there. Like this is the first time I've ever had that because you're only seeing like such a part of it. Like my office was about this size before, about just a little bit bigger than the desk, but I haven't set up anything else yet. Just this little area. Like you go this way, there's like just a bunch of junk and a bunch of crap. But eventually I'll have the table set up. But this is like 4 times the size. But
oh,
it's like
nice.
the weird thing is I'm making so much content. I don't even have time to set up the
Yeah,
other part of the studio to actually use it. And
yeah.
it's just the content creation could take a lot of time, as you know, but then having a space is important because just like you, uh, well, actually still the case because I don't have any other services, like clear the desk and then film the video and like everything's all over the floor, literally.
No, no. Like most of the time, I have the biggest mess ever just outside of camera, outside of camera angle. Usually that couch is just full of junk, full of junk, and I mean, you can't even see the couch that's there, but there is one. It's just full of junk because, like,
How do you manage noise in there though with your home lab equipment and recording? I mean, that's always like the
yeah.
kind of thing that's a big challenge. Do you just have quiet equipment or do you just put it off of out of range of the microphone?
Well, my server rack's in the basement, so that's
Ooh,
that's nice. Like server rack's not in here, super nice. I don't really have like any equipment. Like I have a couple of switches. Actually, I have about 4 switches in here, mainly because I'm testing some stuff.
mhm.
Um, but nothing that really makes any noise. Like my Windows PC and Mac are down in this rack. They don't make much noise, and everything else. Those servers aren't on right now. If they if they were, you'd hear them. So it stays pretty
Yeah.
quiet. I mean, but then, I have wood floors, I have stucco walls, I have, are not stucco, but plaster walls. Like, this is an echo chamber, and I've had to like put tons of sound treatment and rugs and even curtains up to help it get rid of the echoes. But yeah, it's it's a never ending. It's a never ending. What's that?
That the struggle is real.
Yeah. It's never ending. Once you get into content creation, it just never ends. Like your sound's always not good enough, or something's not good enough, and you gotta tweak it and just go as you go. But
I think the most incredible thing that surprised me, this isn't a good thing, by the way, but it's just a funny thing that happened. It's like I managed to fill an 8 terabyte NVMe with just 3 video projects. But that was when I was experimenting with raw footage. I will never do that again without a codec or anything. Just the raw footage is just, filled an 8 terabyte drive for like 3 15-minute videos.
yeah,
Like the scale can go up monumentally when you go 4K. It's just crazy.
yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And, so I have a TrueNAS server that, I think even like 2 months ago, I had, I can't even remember. Anyways, my pool was 50% full. Now, I mean, 2 months later, it's 62% full. Like I use so much storage. I need to figure something out. The last video I shot, 78 gigs was today. 78 gigs. That's how much video I used. That's so much space.
Yep. That's about the same for me.
Yeah. So, but fortunately, like in my HL15 and that's running TrueNAS, I could put about two more pair mirrored VDEVs in there and expand a little bit more. But then it's going to be crunch time. So I've really been, debating. I've been looking for, a long-term, like kind of a cold storage type codec to like store, videos for long-term, like archival purposes. And I think AV1 might be that one. So anyways, I might do a batch encode with, FFmpeg for about, 3 weeks straight and convert some of my old footage to AV1 just to get some more space back. But yeah, it's man, my TrueNAS server is just like it just keeps filling up.
I was 95% full 2 days ago, and then I figured out what was wrong, and then a long story made short, it was backing up something that I didn't care to have backed up because it's not important, but just temporary stacking on top of itself. I'm like, what is going on with this darn thing? And it's nearly going to fall over because ZFS and 95% full is not
yeah. No. Yeah, I think anywhere above like 80ish is kind of like it starts chugging along. But that's tough because then like even if you deleted that stuff in the snapshots, then like your stuff's all fragmented then still, right? Like it like got filled up, and then like it's.
I feel like at that level, I probably would defer to Tom. I feel like he knows more about ZFS than I do, but I know that it's definitely not a good thing. But basically, like you, I have all this archive footage, but I have like the entire like tarballs for the project files here locally, and it was taking snapshots of those, but I have them backed up off site. And my policy is that if I don't go back to archival footage within a couple of years, I'm never going to. So I'll just keep the original upload forever. But it was backing up these files I didn't care about. I didn't even have time to look at it. Like, don't let your hard drives get full, I say, as mine is just getting full in the background, and I become a hypocrite. But that's just how it goes, I guess.
You need to put on some alerts on TrueNAS to warn me ahead of time.
Oh yeah. But then when you turn off your phone in do not disturb mode because you're editing, well, it's always a fun time too.
Yeah.
All right. So where can people find you? Where do you want to send people to check your content out if they haven't already done so?
Oh yeah, if you just Google Techno Tim, it's pretty easy to find me, or technotim.live. That's where I send everyone. That's where my documentation is. My website is my documentation, and you can find all the content that I create, both video and text content. So, but yeah, just Google Techno Tim, and it'll usually take you to the right place. I remember there was a time when it wouldn't, and it would take you to someone whose name was Tim and made techno music. So that was my goal. for the first year of YouTube was to beat the old Techno Tim in SEO. And I think I got it now. I mean, you know, a friendly competition, you know, of SEO, not like, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for us, SEO is just, we don't want to make content in an echo chamber.
Yeah.
We want people that, we don't want to just do it for one person, although that person really loved it. I mean, that feels good, but we want, we got to do SEO so people can like see what we're doing. It's kind of like this. And before I let you go, I'll just, as an aside, you know, we like us YouTubers, we talk offline, like we hate some of the stuff we do. Like that dumb face on this thumbnail works, but oh my God, I hate this thumbnail of me. It's so ridiculous, but I have to do it because, you know, that's how the content is, or the platform, that's what it expects. So it's always interesting.
Yeah. I call it dumb face. That's what I call it. And like when I do it, I tell my wife, like, I have to do a dumb face thumbnail for this one, you know? And so many people say they hate it. So many people say they hate it. Why do it? Why do people do this? But then they click on it. So it's like, okay, you know, that's the first signal to YouTube for the algorithm is clicking on a thumbnail. And so like, okay, right, you need people to click on a thumbnail. That's how you get them to watch. Do they watch longer than 30 seconds? Yes. Right. How much do they watch? You know, and it keeps going on from there and there and there. And the first signal for the algorithm is, did you click on it? And people do click on the faces, you know, just like I got it down now. Yep. But even though I've only done it once or twice, I reserve that for special occasions. But
I decided to lean into humor going forward. I think people will see that if I have to make a thumbnail with that kind of a face, I'm just going to make it completely hilarious, like the Arch Linux thumbnail, where I just have the I run Arch shirt, and I'm just opening my best to show, hey, I got an Arch shirt, I'm running Arch because it's a meme. But I feel like that's the only way I could think of, but then that doesn't always work, and people still might hate it. And then you're like, well, again, it's the best I could come up with.
Yeah, it's tough. YouTube game is tough. It's a tough game.
But you know, I think what it all counts. It's as long as you deliver, and I know you do. It doesn't really matter if it looks like clickbait, but if you give everyone what you said you were going to give them, that's fine. You're not lying. You gave them what they came there for, and you're entertaining them. So I think in the long run, it's probably all for the better. So, all right. I think we're about at time. Anything else you want to mention, or any other things you want to shine some light on?
No, I think that's it. Like, I appreciate you letting me stop by. If there's, if you, I mean, I see some comments of people asking stuff. I didn't really, sorry, I don't know if I should answer some of them, but some people were asking about, you know, Proxmox and stuff like that. I do a ton of Proxmox. So if you like that, you want to learn more about it, I got tons of tutorials on that. I think you do too, Jay. But
watch them all. Yeah. Watch everyone's tutorials on it. You learn, one person will mention something the other person didn't. So if you watch everyone's tutorials, watch both of them.
That's right.
You'll learn all the better for that too, because you know, like I said, everyone thinks of something that someone else didn't think of, and I think it gives you a better impression overall of the technology and different vantage points of how it works. So, love the learning and the content. So awesome. So yeah, technotim.live, and we appreciate you being on. And I know Tom feels the same way, although he had to, you know, pick somebody up, but it's been fun all the same. So thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Take care, everybody.